lose my balance and step on the corner of the drawer and like skin the bottom of my foot. So there's like a flab of like skin coming off, right? And I'm like, oh, that really hurt. Anyway, I'll just push this drawer in a little bit, right? 10 minutes before I record this podcast, guess what? I was hoping to do an unboxing today, but the box doesn't turn out today. It turns out tomorrow. So I went to the door. I'm like, oh, okay. No, we're not going to have content for the pod now, that means. So we're going to have to come up with something different.
We'll also have to record tomorrow. Because what I was thinking earlier, whilst I was on my iPad, is if I logged into the producer in the iPad, so then I could have got the controls in front of me, and then us as two guests, because then it would be interesting, because then I can add like sounds and slideshows and whatever else that we need to do, because it would be quite cool to see if we could do the intro video in it, if that makes sense, rather than doing it in post, just to see how well we can just baffle for a bit, do the intro, so then it's live, and then we kick in all in one sitting to see what that looks like, and then I could add like claps and drum rolls and
yeah, that actually is a good idea. I think having the live mode saves you having to edit it to some degree, doesn't it? So then it just means the producing is quicker, and then you can like bring them out earlier, bring out the episodes a little bit earlier as well, which is good. So
yeah, so maybe we can trial that at some point, see how that works.
Yeah,
I think that'll be a good little system. But I know we tried to input the video, didn't we? But it was too big or whatever.
Too big?
So
yeah,
we might need to
maybe they've changed it.
Export or whatever.
Either we need to shrink it down, or maybe they've taken another look to see if they've changed something, or they've probably been like, if you want to upload that kind of size, pay that extra £5 a month to get you going as well. Which is like classic. So nothing like a good old upsell. I've got a piece of content that I want to share. I'm not sure if I have shared, but I'll share it anyway. And but I want to get into the episode first because I don't have anything. But before I get into the episode, a little bit of anticipation. That like annoying moment where you kind of like do something and hurt yourself. Then 2 weeks later, you basically do the exact same thing and nearly hurt yourself in the exact same way. So we're painting these like what do you call it? Like a makeup table type thing, right? A table with 3 drawers. And the 3 drawers have been painted, so one of those drawers is on the floor, right? So I think like a couple of weeks back, I heard a sound outside, and usually the sound's like a wood chipper or something like that. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Are they cutting the trees here or something? So you go to the window, right? To get to the window, you walk like between the bed and the now painted, or like I need to do an extra coat, painted drawers that are on the floor. As I'm walking over, I like misbalance a little bit, lose my balance, and step on the corner of the drawer and like skin the bottom of my foot. So there's like a flab of like skin coming off, right? And I'm like, oh, that really hurt. Anyway, I'll just push this drawer in a little bit, right? 10 minutes before I record this podcast, guess what? There actually was a wood chipper, right? And I'm like, oh, the curtain thing. Now, the reason why I'm, Karening or curtain twitching while there's a wood chipper is they put these signs on the road to be like, hey, don't have your car here between the hours of, 8 and 4 because we want to do some tree-related things, right? And if your car is there between those hours, they'll put a ticket on your car. So last week or the week before when they did that for our bit of the road, I randomly saw the ticket guy outside and I got my shoes on, ran outside and moved to our car. Thankfully, he didn't get to our car because there's 3 other cars that he ticketed in progression of moving towards our car. So then I like literally just reversed it back out of like the zone that they're trying to get. So
how long do they give you a heads up on that? Because that's a bit harsh.
It's like they do it at the start of the week. At the start of the week, it'll be like, or maybe on the weekend, it's like, cool, on Wednesday between 4 and 8, there's going to be like wood activities or like tree related activities. So it's like a no parking zone. So you have to like move your car. But obviously the 3 neighbors kind of forgot to do it. Anyway, today I also heard a wood chipping sound and I was like, I'm going to get a ticket, aren't I? So I basically go and find out if the wood chipper is like down the road somewhere or like a bit further away. As I'm walking, I lose my balance and I step on something. It's not now the drawer. It's something smaller, like lesser, but still an object that I've left on the floor. And I'm like, oh, have I just skinned my thought again. Thankfully, I haven't. But it's just like, oh, that's funny.
So is that why you were 10 minutes late to the pod? Because you're throwing all those items in the wood chipper to get rid of them?
Yeah. Finally, I've had enough with that table. Actually, this thing that I stepped on this time was just like a plastic lid. So it wasn't necessarily the same kind of like wood, like 90-degree angle to shave your foot off. But yeah, so lesson here, kids, is don't put stuff on the floor to dry. You'll end up stepping on it as you're trying to curtain twitch. So,
or put a no step zone for half a week before to let yourself know.
Or maybe just don't worry. Don't trust your instincts. If there were no signs there last night, there are probably no signs there this morning. So you're not going to get a ticket, and then you don't have to curtain twitch. So that's my story. Right, let's get started.
Episode 68, aren't we? Is it
68? I thought we were in the 70s. Are we not in the 70s yet? Hang on, let me
said 67 last time. You said
64, didn't? Oh, hang on. I did post it to you, didn't I?
Yeah, on the Slack channel. Drum roll. See, this is where we need the drum roll button.
Yeah. I can't find it. Oh yeah, 64. So we're on episode 65.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
We'll have to have an innuendo when we get to 69. But
it makes you think, like, 64 episodes take such a long time to like create. So when you're thinking about your challenge around making 100 videos, it actually takes a long time, right? Because even if you did one a week, that would be 52. So it'd take you 2 years if you did one a week, right? Just short of 2 years.
And if you didn't do one a week, that I'm doing now.
And if you don't do one a week, yeah. Which is what we are, because actually I think we're 64 episodes across, because I think we were doing the monthly to begin with, weren't we? Or something like that, or every 2 weeks.
Something like that.
We've been doing it for like 3 years, I think, right? Because we're now on season 3, and I was like, well, let's make a season 3. So it's fascinating when people are saying like, oh, start this content thing. It actually takes a long time. But let me get into the podcast, and then I'll talk about us. Reminded me about a second point that I'm probably going to forget. So I'll just very quickly write it down. And then I'll forget what this actually means.
I'll have my iPad near just in case I need to write my notes.
Yeah.
Don't be a doorstop. Don't be a doorstop. Don't be a doorstop.
Welcome back to another episode. We're on episode 65, so we're getting there. We're nearly at our 100 episodes, as Mr. Beast always encourages new YouTubers to go out there and do 100 episodes and just try and improve one thing. So the improvement this week is, well, we'll find out. I was going to do an unboxing. That was the improvement, but the box is not turning up till tomorrow. So our improvement will come next
66.
week. So, yeah, we're back one episode. Anyway, I wanted to chat about, linked into the 65 episodes that we're now hitting because of this episode, growth. I saw a video yesterday about this lady saying growth in itself should be success, no matter how much or how little it is. So yes, if we said, let's say for argument's sake, our content hadn't improved at all over the 65 days or whatever, like the fact that we're doing episodes, that we're continuing, right, that we're growing, as it were, would be good enough, because we always have these expectations on top of growth and be like, oh, well, it needs to be in this particular way, or it needs to be like exponentially kind of like impacting something on the other end. So I thought, yeah, how often do we reward ourselves for just growth versus yesterday, or growth versus last year? And I think it comes back to, you know, the pressure of, if you're running a business, there's pressure to always increase your turnover or increase your revenue. And sometimes the pressure of that can actually be too much, especially when you're doing exponential goals. And let's say 1 year you miss it. It will mean that like, oh, the whole year is like worthless now because we missed the goal. However, if you always compare, well, actually, let's say this is year 7. Well, year 7 versus year 1, we've done like really, really good. So it's always trying to like balance that your goals don't become like shackles in some ways, or like disappointments when you miss them. And you're always having to find either like kind of like find something that's encouraging nonetheless, basically. So yeah, hours of effort is a a good one to do, right? The whole, rather than worrying about whether or not you fixed something or launched a feature, have you just like put in hours of effort? And it's the discipline of keep going in some ways. But how do you view like growth and goal setting and not have like too much of that pressure on yourself?
Don't know, because I have a lot of pressure on myself. So I think I find it really difficult to create smart goals that are either easy to measure, or they're easy to measure and I put too much within a time frame. I'm just assuming that I'm like a uni student on summer holidays that's got nothing better to do, so I've got all the time and energy in the world, rather than I'm an adult with a mortgage and all that jazz. I think I still forget to take that into consideration, that it takes either some time or energy or effort to transition into creating goals that are more achievable to now, whilst there's other things on my mind. But yeah, the joys of expectations.
And that's it. It's comes down to the self-reflection, right? Of, do you realize your goal is crushing you or inspiring you? And then if it is crushing you, just find to change it, because we're in situations where we're the bosses, right? We're the boss, so we can change the goal. And it doesn't mean that we're settling as such. We're just trying to find the right iteration for the maximum amount of efficiency along the journey. Like yesterday, I got a bit like annoyed that I didn't feel that efficient because I hadn't completed a task. However, the research part, I've done a bunch of research to help me complete the task. And it can feel sometimes as if I haven't moved in any way. So sometimes you'll have these frustrating days, but again, comes always down to the whole, like, don't give up. And reflecting on, well, at least I've done 5 hours of research on how to get to a solution, which, if that's a part of the condition is you're going to spend 3 days on this whole entire thing. Well, you're 5 hours in now, so you don't need to use those 5 hours again. And you're like chipping away at the rock. You just got to keep going, because the gold is getting closer, isn't it, to the end of your pickaxe? RuneScape, drop in.
Yeah. I think that's one thing I've noticed recently, because I've been trying to create different systems. I've been trying the program Notion of creating like a tick list of everything I need to do with a video. So like rough cut it, reframe it, add a titles, subtitles, and so on and so forth. And I think I mix up in between the One Task app and trying to build in the Notion, because yes, it might be edit one video. Yes, that is one task. But actually, when I break it up into the Notion sort of tick list, I forget how much checking that lighting's okay, checking that the sound is okay, maybe upping the sound, maybe speeding it up a little bit, and then that one sort of task of checking out like editing a post, then you forget. Oh yeah, actually I forget that I look at all the visuals, then I look at the audio, then I might be adding stuff to it, then I need to double check that it's all correct and all timing, and then you forget there's like, oh, I've only achieved one task, when actually you've done like 17 tick lists just to get to that one that edit one video is not a small task anymore. Actually, it's a medium/large task, because there's a subreddit list of like 17 tasks that you have to do, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I've even started to notice that. You know how in the maintenance of life, of like just the maintenance of a home, you can create secondary tasks for yourself by accident. So for example, let's say I'm drinking a glass right now. If I just take the glass and put it next to the dishwasher, I've now created an extra task to come back to do the whole, like, put the glass in the dishwasher, right? When really the actual entire task should be take this glass and put it in the dishwasher. However, yes, if the dishwasher's full already with clean stuff, you need to empty it out. So you realize the impact of one, not realizing that there's 5 other tasks to get this to completion. So it's the whole like definition of what like done is. So you need to make sure that there's like celebratory moments, even though it's not done, that you're still celebrating the effort towards the goal. So it's kind of like, well, I'm 5 hours into the allotted 10 hours that will be required. So it's that part. But then, yeah, you realize, okay, taking this glass downstairs, I might accidentally not realize that there's a second task of like emptying the dishwasher. So you can be like oblivious to the knock-on tasks as well. And then you can create this like, just this like drag of, well, now I've put it on the side and I've returned up here. I'm going to have to do this task. So it's like the oppression of that on your mind is a funny one. So
I spotted a funny social post of it was a husband and wife, and then the wife coming into the room having a go at the husband, saying, "I've cleaned your clothes, I've folded your clothes, and I've put them away." Basically having a go at like, why isn't he helping her out? And he says, "You're doing the 50%." She's like, "What do you mean I'm doing 50%?" And he's like, "I put on the clothes, I made the clothes dirty, then I put them in the wash basket. So your 50% was to take them out the wash basket, clean them, and then put them back in my audio." I just thought it was funny. I was like, that's quite funny. It's like the whole life cycle of just, let's say, one item of clothing. It's like you get the bad half, he gets the good half. But yeah, I think it's humorous for the woman to understand it, for the wife.
I think this is it. I think life is always about, essentially like tasks. Life is a bunch of tasks. It's about trying to find the most easy way not to elongate the task unnecessarily so, or get frustrated by the task unnecessarily so. But yeah, I'm really enjoying my routine app. I've only a few times I've got gold stars. So this routine app, I mentioned it last week, but I've been using it more regularly. It's not in the App Store yet. It's not in the App Store yet. I need to put a bunch of branding next to it, the little screenshots and stuff, so I can then submit it. And chances are Apple will be like, it hasn't got enough features in it because there's only one list, so I'm gonna have to come up with something else. Button. yeah, just to add something additional in. But I'm really enjoying using that because I feel like I'm forgetting to do stuff. So because of the busyness, you like forget to do a task. So having a routines app is helpful, and I'm not worried about like, did I do that one thing, yes or no, and the regularity of the one thing. I'm more so looking at holistically, did I do my routines as a broad thing, which is really helpful. And then I just want to bake in like some streaks or something like that of like, oh, cool, you were able to do that one task twice, or maybe it's like, oh, you forgot to do it over 2 days now, so how do I like bring you back to achieving it? But it does feel good to like remember that I have been disciplined, because this is essentially a documentation of discipline.
The thing that I have noticed since testing out your app with routines is any routine that's good for me, I try and skip to get more work done. So I've put like basic things like brushing teeth in the morning. I've put in breakfast, I've put in lunch, I've put in dinner, because I know those are the 4 areas that I would skip, probably from a place of stress that I need to get something done. That'll be like, oh, I'll brush my teeth in a bit, and then I don't end up doing it, and I'll just do it of an evening. Or it'd be like, oh, I don't need lunch because I need to finish off this task or whatever. Yeah. And that's one thing that I thought was interesting. It's like, you wouldn't dare remove those tasks from your life when you were younger, or maybe in the past, but now it's like you're just trying to find any sort of 1% advantage above other people. But then it's realizing, actually, by me skipping out on those basic self needs, then actually I'm probably losing out on 10% overall, rather than making sure that those are baked into my day-to-day life, rather than skipping out on breakfast and stuff.
Do you feel like you spotted that because of the visibility of it? So the visibility of like, okay, this is my full routine throughout the day.
Yes.
And now I can
Plus,
see it
I made sure I put basic things in it, rather than putting things that I'm like goals, like a workout or sit-ups, press-ups, or making money. Rather than putting it as a goal, I was putting it as this should be a routine in my life. And in a weird way, it sort of strips back all your ideals and expectations for the day, and be like, okay, to some extent, what's the skeleton of your day? And I've not gone too complicated. I've literally just kept it super basic, which then you're like, oh, that's interesting. I actually skip out on these basic needs quite quickly. So then it was like, I need to go back, make sure the skeleton's there, and then build on my passions or inspirations or goals on top of that, rather than classing it as a system right now, if that makes sense. A routine.
Yeah, because I've put in like brush teeth, wash face, put on face cream, put on SPF. Because if you don't put on SPF, it's good for you. That's the thing that like degrades your skin, sun. Then there's like a exercise and water and nutrition, and then there's like the nighttime routine, which is basically wash your face, clean your teeth, and I'm like, and go to bed before midnight. I'm like, you're right. They're not necessarily big goals, but just it's like small disciplines that will help me out in the long run. Like even with the the iOS widgets.
In theory, they shouldn't be goals anyway.
Yeah,
they're routines in the sense that it's like your body should need that. It shouldn't be a goal. Like a goal might be like be able to play PlayStation in the week or whatever, so I can chill out or something, rather than your. Yeah, it's classing going to like playing a sport, joining a club. Your goal isn't to do a warm up and a cool down. No, that's a routine. That's part. The goal might be get healthier. It's like what is the next step off that? So it's quite interesting recognizing those differences, I guess. With this
and it's also avoiding repercussions, right? I now realize, cool, if I typically like have I'm very good for like 7 days, and then the next 7 days are poor. So I'm like good for 7 days and then I drop off, and then I'll like good for 7 days and I'll drop off, and I'm trying to like, how do I change the cadence? I think a lot of my tasks are essentially to avoid negative things. So for example, if you don't brush your teeth twice a day and you don't floss and all the rest of it, you'll end up having fillings. And if you don't like watch out, then you'll have root canals and all the rest of it, right? And they just cost money and it's pain. So pain of pocket and pain of mouth. And then if you don't do SPF, or if you don't wash your face, then you end up getting bad skin, and bad skin knocks your self-confidence. So it's like these things are essentially done. Or like if you don't exercise, or you don't take nutrition, or you don't drink water, then you'll like your health will degrade over time. So I'm essentially doing all these like preventative measures, trying to get discipline, preventative measures to avoid the rear end of the negative like sides and the knock-ons of that to some degree. So which is interesting. But
very interesting.
On a more positive note, have you noticed something different?
On the screen, because I'm looking mainly at the camera and my screen's down here.
Okay, yeah, I forgot. I'm like, maybe you don't see the screen. Yes, on the screen. So if
yes,
you look at the
something
screen,
on your wall.
Yes, and do you notice how
pink.
like huge this gap is here? I was meant to do it halfway, but because the pin is like a couple of centimeters away from the top. So I was like, cool, I just need to go up a couple of centimeters because the way that it's dropped, but I should have gone down a couple of centimeters. But anyway, it's one of these like sticky, the things you can peel off. So I'm like, cool, I'm just going big sized gaps round it. So yeah, this is my my certificate, or our certificate for Insider. Kimmer and I run Insider together, or co-founded it together. And that was the awards night that I mentioned in the last pod. Went there, and we were just finalists. So sadly, we didn't win the category for Creative Startup of the Year, but we get a finalist certificate. And then I was like, basically, you should just post stuff on socials and not like overly explain. So take a photo with the certificate. I realized that you can't really zoom in to see it. And that's not by... I'm not trying to hide anything. It's just like, well, it's me posing with a certificate with the word Startup Awards after it. And people think I've won an award, right? Funnily enough, it's actually just a thing. So now I'm breaking the actual, like, the 5 that people think you're award winning. But I am award winning because we won for Wales. So it is still true. But I'm like, yeah, sometimes you shouldn't like over explain stuff. And yeah, just take photos of yourself with certificates. And people were like, congratulations, because that's what people do, right? People don't really necessarily analyze stuff. They're just like, oh, this is cool. Startup Awards. Oh, they must have been awarded. So like, just start giving yourself certificates every now and again, and then fun. Yeah, most attendance. Yeah, I'm like, we should give ourselves like plaques for when we get to 100 episodes. We should create like 100 episodes. Just create your own plaque and put it on your wall, and then I'd be like, yeah, so like these are our achievements, right? We've done 100 episodes of this podcast. We've been running for 3 years, and that in itself sounds mind blowing. If you told me like you're going to be running a podcast 3 years and you'll have like X episodes, I'd be like, the discipline
would
required
be interesting.
would be like cool, right?
Like, what is the wall that you fill up behind the video of plaques? If you had to create all of them today, what would be sort of achievable?
My super base
Mine would still be C in English, as you just see.
Well, you'd also have a whale's cap
than anything.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, but so it should be right. Like you can put up your university certificate, your master's certificate. You would even like so Kim is kind of like it's the whole you know in the Bible where they essentially make towers of like stones or whatever to remember God did something. It's like, could you do that in life to like just celebrate yourself? So for me, like having a wall, why not put certificates up to like celebrate your achievements and to remind yourself that you're, you know, all these good attributes, hardworking, you're diligent, you're disciplined. So I'm like, yeah, this certificate, even though it's just a certificate, it's like the kind of like what it represents is far more important. So for you, like the Wales captain thing, it'd be cool if you bought a Wales top, right? Had Ryland on the back, and then you like bought a captain's armband and just created a plaque. Because Kim has been like trying to commemorate key milestones by like producing plaques for herself. So recently, I'mCube got 1 million streams. So she found a company that do plaques for like Spotify 1 million streams with like a CD and everything. So she's like, yeah, cool. Like getting that is like a really cool thing to do. Similar with, you know how people have football tops and they're signed and stuff?
Yeah.
She's got one so she can commemorate and celebrate the fact her music was in the World Cup. So she's going to frame her Wales football top and have like a little plaque to be like her music was in there. I'm like, that's actually a really cool idea. I think I should like hook onto that idea. So kudos to Kimmer for inspiring us to like commemorate things like on your wall, like get certificates out and celebrate it. I'm trying to think like, I think I have like a grade 1 drumming, probably like I'm not that inspired by that one, but nonetheless,
well,
it's
like
played
at stadiums, haven't you, and festivals. So you need like your festival bands, really.
Yeah, and that's why people like hold on to medals, right? If you're in sports, you hold on to medals. If you're in bands, you'll hold on to your like wristbands and so forth. But I think it's a cool thing to do.
That's cool. I did have a thought or a question about when you were talking about startup stuff, but I've completely forgotten about it.
I'll run on to my final topic, and then if you come up with a question, you can run it at the end.
What we can say is if people are interested in Insider, it should be in the description, because we've sorted out our descriptions to actually have things that are relevant.
Yes.
Finally.
And because we've been talking a lot about To-Do this time, the One Thing app, that's also in the description as well. So if you want to get better at your efficiency of task completion, then go for that. Kimmer uses it as well, and she's about to hit. So we have leaderboards in it, and the leaderboard has multiple versions: weekly, monthly, daily, and an all-time. So Kimmer's about to hit 1,000 completed tasks all time. So I think, as Tom rightly said, we should probably do a plaque of some sorts. So if there's anybody out there that creates custom plaques, I'm thinking we should have like, you know, like wood, but you kind of like burn the wood or something to like have the kind of the difference between burnt wood and non-burnt wood to show something.
Yeah.
Or like some acrylic based like engraved things or something.
Use your 3D printer, Dan.
Yeah. I've
it comes in handy.
Still got it here, like on the floor. Yeah, a 3D printer that prints for 7 hours, but it slips halfway through, so you have to redo it.
It's unique.
Yeah. It's a half-baked. It's because we didn't complete the task. But yeah, maybe we should make coasters. I'm trying to think of something that you would actually use. But yeah, maybe there's coasters. So, talking about coasters, just a side note. You know when you get so if you're doing a renovation, you'll get samples, and if you're doing bathrooms, you'll get tile samples. I'm like, could you come up with a business where you're essentially getting tile samples from different companies, make something of them, and then sell them? So essentially, you're getting free tile samples, making them into a product, and then selling them on. There you go. If you've got zero money, go and find a tile company that gives free samples and just put 10 different emails and get 10 different. And then you'd be like, okay, this is 1 out of 10. Like these are unique. We've only created 10 of these, and you like engrave something on it or you paint something on it and try and sell them. It's a funny thing. But sometimes they write their company name on the side, so you'd have to like shave that off somehow. But it's fun.
So if you're struggling in life, those are the crumbs for the ideas to get going.
Yeah, we've got ideas at all levels here, the low level ideas to high level ideas. Final thought. I'm not sure if I told you this, but as you know, I've been doing lots of medical things around blood tests and things like that, and I've started to notice that NHS app finally actually have the results in the NHS app. It's been a long time since that's happened. So if you go to the NHS app, you can see some of the old blood tests you've had done, and they give you specifics. Yeah.
Is this just England, do you know, or UK wide?
I don't know, but for me, they've started all of a sudden to turn up. So that might be unique to England. I don't know, but I'm like, it's helpful. You can't copy text out of it. So I screenshot it, use iOS's OCR to like copy the text out, and then give it to ChatGPT to get it into a table. I'm then putting it into a table of mine. I then have exported that table. So I'm documenting the times, right, and the metric that it's covering or like checking. I then have exported that into a CSV, uploaded it into a custom GPT, so it uses that as reference points. And then I'm asking it questions about my health and stuff. And I'm like, I'm all for. We've always spoken a little bit with like tinfoil hats on, a little bit with how 3 meals a day might be just capitalists, right, trying to make you buy cereal when really you don't need to buy cereal and all the rest of it, right? So like having a second opinion when it comes to doctors is a good thing to do. So usually we've always been in this era of trusting experts, but I think over time we've come to be more critical. Like our critical thinking capacity has increased, and we're more skeptical of professionals and experts. Therefore, it's better to have multiple sources of information, right? And be able to validate what a doctor is telling you with your own research. And it's very difficult to do that. Like, where do you start? Well, if you get your own blood test, you can essentially put that stuff into GPT and ask it questions. So, for example, I'm not sure if I said this for last time, but I have low white blood cell counts. And somebody was saying that's related to having COVID. Having COVID means that your white blood cell counts are lowered. And it takes a long time for that to pick up. And I think like you can take, I think it's B12 or folic acid or something to increase your white blood cells. I was like, that's interesting. Somebody said that. Like, how true is that? So I went to GPT and I was like, could COVID have an effect on white blood cells? And it said, yes, it can. So it like kind of like validates something you might hear on the street. Obviously this was not here on the street. It was actually the lady taking blood. But it's cool to be able to like double check and get extra insights. And I think the most interesting one is like, what are the natural remedies or the natural things that I can do to improve this stuff? So yeah, I'm like, of course, somebody could use that against me to like create something that like infected me because I have got low white blood cell counts. But until that happens, I'm happy like quizzing it to like get insight.
Just make sure your life insurance is up to date.
Yeah. And again, I'm not sure. Is ChatGPT free now? Is there a particular version of it that's free?
There is a free version. I don't know if it's the 4 or if it's the 3.5 potentially.
Yeah, so anybody could do this, right? If you've been to the doctor to have a blood test or any sort of tests, and that information is in your NHS app, then copy that information out into a spreadsheet, and then copy that spreadsheet and paste it into ChatGPT and ask it questions. Like, what more of a proactive healthcare kind of approach could you get than that? So I'm like, yeah, there's an interesting.
I think one thing that I'm interested in the background is what sources, I guess, does ChatGPT get it from? Because if it is just from, let's say, pharmaceuticals, research in certain topics, there'll be less knowledge on the more natural remedies and sort of the historical passing down generations side of things, just because it's not been researched.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, I think caveat because we're not a doctor's podcast.
Yeah. The balance to that is like use separate versions. So obviously Google have Gemini. There's also another one called Claude. So using other sources, other large language models to check things out is a cool thing. And also they've released a new model that has super high explainability. So as it's doing its task, it's like explaining what it's doing. And there might be signs in there to what it's referring to or what it's accessing. And if in doubt, like ask it. like, how do you know this stuff? And it might tell you some of its source material. Yeah.
To do research in.
Yeah. So cool. I think that's it. Has the question come back to your mind?
No, but an idea for Kimmer, but that is offline chat.
Yeah, okay.
I don't want to share it on here.
Yeah, and if you're interested, subscribe, and we'll. I'm like, I realized the other day, so we've been doing more shorts thanks to Tom's capacity of being able to edit shorts for us. And one is like, if you'd created a YouTube channel, just do shorts, because you get far more views on shorts than long form video. But then they don't always convert to subscribers as such, but I think they convert to subscribers in a far better way than sometimes your long form video. When you look at the eligibility for monetizing your account, you then realize, oh, actually, we need at least 500 subscribers or at least 1,000 subscribers to like actually do anything in like a monetary capacity. And then you're wanting like 3,000 views, right? Or 3,000 hours or whatever. There's like an expectation of like hours viewed as well. So the shorts is like a good way of building that up, because people are more likely to watch you. Like fewer people are going to watch your long form, more people are going to watch your short form. So yeah, it takes such a challenge to build up to get a channel monetized. And I was thinking about, the project that you were saying of like collabing on a YouTube channel. It's like it's actually a lot of work to get even the 500 mark. But as you said, Kill Tony's podcast has been going for 11 years, and so I'm like, what's the 11-year version of this? If we're running this for 11 years plus, then we don't care, right? We don't mind that it's not there yet, because it'll always continue to grow. As you've said previously, we've had sponsors before, and sponsors may come back, I think.
Yeah.
Because we spoke a lot about today, so maybe that can be today's sponsor. Sweet.
Yeah.
Closing thoughts.
There you go. Don't let your expectation crush your vision.
Mic drop. Speak to you later. Bye for now.